Hey everyone, it's Rod from Stay Strong, Live Long. I'm in Sydney. It is 9 a.m. on Tuesday morning. Now, if you're tuning in from the States, I know it's going to be sometime in the evening on Monday. And if you're tuning in from Europe somewhere, well, it's going to be the middle of the night for you guys. It's what is it on my temperature gauge? It's a balmy 21 degrees here in Sydney. We're starting to get into the summer months. And if you are tuning in from wherever you are in the world, let us know in the chat where you're from. Say hi. And we'll give you a shout out a little bit later on. Now today I'm very excited because we have a very special guest. We've got Shawn White from Intentional Carnivore. I don't know very much about Shawn's story, so I'm excited to hear more from him, and I'll just bring him in now. How you doing, Shawn?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to share with you guys. Thanks for having me, Rod.
That's awesome. Yeah, it took a little while for me to set this up, but I haven't learned much about your story, so I'm interested to learn some more. And also hi to, obviously you're going to have a few people from your audience would be coming to the channel for the first time as well. So hi to all those people. We'll give some shout outs a little bit later on. So I think just for those who, like me, don't know much about you, Shawn, could you give us just a little bit of background about how you got started eating the carnivore way and what your health journey has been like?
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Like I said, I appreciate you having me on. So basically, like most everybody else could attest, I spent the last, the first, I should say, 25 to 30 years of my life just making extremely bad decisions as far as health, whether it be of ignorance or willful decision, either way you want to look at it. I made a lot of bad decisions that landed me up in a place where in, 2019, 2020, right before the onslaught of the big C, I was in the worst health and shape of my life. I had been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I was already on 3 different medications for hypertension. I had depression, gout, you name it, man. I had a lot of different issues that were going on. It was a multifaceted problem that I wasn't anywhere close to prepared to deal with. And I was a paramedic, so I knew how health worked. I knew how the body worked extremely well. I spent 12 years as a paramedic in the streets and, just learning how to deal with other people's issues, but I neglected my own health for so long. So that's kind of what led up to me finding carnivore. I had no idea that carnivore was a thing, the eating, all meat, heavy fat, heavy protein was a thing. I just assumed, like everything else, you had to eat your fruits and vegetables and eat less and work more and you could drop weight and those kinds of things. And I tried everything. And then one day, at the deepest, darkest depression of my life, I would lay on the couch and just listen to, podcasts, YouTube, like most other people could attest. And I came across Rhonda Patrick having a conversation with Joe Rogan one day. And neither one of those guys are very, positive when in relation to carnivore, but the discussion that they had was so intriguing to me and got me to thinking about the carnivore way of eating that it just stuck in my mind, I guess you'd say. And a couple of days went on and it just kept triggering in my mind. So I wanted to research more into it. And so I looked it up on YouTube and came across this insane, crazy doctor named Dr. Ken Berry. And I was like, this guy has literally got to know better. He spent 20 years as an ER physician, and he knows better. He's a very educated man. And so the more I listened to him speak, the more sense he made. And on April the 17th, 2022, my life was dramatically changed when I just grabbed a hold of the carnivore way of eating, and my life has been drastically different ever since. And that's kind of how I came to find carnivore, and the way that my life basically from that point to now has never been the same.
Awesome. So April 7th, 2022. So it was sort of about 18 months from then. So can you give us a synopsis of, what's happened since then?
Absolutely, yeah. So April the 17th, there's nothing really special about April the 17th, 2022. Just a normal day. It just happened to be the day that I had had enough. And that's when I started carnivore. That's whenever I went all in. It's when I had made my mind up that where I was not adequate for optimal life and nutrition and thriving in the life that I'm living. And so I embraced the carnivore way of eating, and I basically, haven't looked back. And so I have taken my A1C from right at 7 to 5.2. I'm off of all of my HCTZ, lisinopril, and amlodipine. I no longer take any medications for blood pressure. I've lost 270 pounds. I was 457 pounds whenever I started, and now I weigh 188 pounds or less. It's been about a month or so since I weighed, so I potentially could weigh less. I just quit carrying, so I really don't weigh that much anymore. I haven't had an issue with gout, and I don't take the allopurinol or the colchicine that I used to have to take. Just dramatically different. But all of that cannot compare to the issue of the depression that I faced. I spent 3 years laying on the couch, not being able to be a husband, not being able to be a father. I've been married for 21 years, almost 22 years. In July, it'll be 22 years. I couldn't function with my wife or my children because I was so wrapped up in my own desires and my own health issues. And alleviating the issue of the depression and the anxiety that I was faced with, that I was captivated by, and laying on a couch has got to be the very best thing that I have eliminated to this point. I couldn't take a shower without sitting on the side of the bathtub because I would be so out of breath. I couldn't take a ride in my car without the side plastic pieces on the car digging into the sides of my legs, into the sides of my body. And I couldn't even, go to see family or take an extended trip because I was so uncomfortable with the way that my life was. And so, yeah, absolutely. So much has drastically changed that it's hard to really describe it all. But I know that giving my body the optimal nutrition was an extremely relevant place to start. And I feel like that it could help most anybody that would be willing to step out from where they are and try that. So that's kind of how I came to it. That's some of the things that's changed.
Oh, that's incredible. So while you were you were saying you were a paramedic for 12 years. So you had a period of time where you couldn't actually go to work. That was kind of like your life was being on the couch most of your day.
Yes, so I worked as a paramedic up till the beginning of 2019. And I've got a degree in science, applied science, and so I spent a lot of time trying to work from becoming just a driver and an EMT, a basic level emergency service worker, to moving on up into being a paramedic. But I spent up until 2019, about the last 10 years before that, trying to get into that role of being able to help people on that level. And then whenever 2019 hit, I was 457 pounds. I had an array of health issues that was keeping me. Nobody wants somebody who is not healthy and as bad out of shape as I was showing up to their worst day ever. Period. That's just the way it is. You don't want to be experiencing your worst day ever and have somebody who's apparently living the life that I was portraying to everybody, showing up to try to help their problems. It's almost like adding more problems to the problems that you already have. So that's kind of where I was, man. And I had to have some real, I don't know how you say it, I guess some real relevant conversations with myself, some harsh conversations with myself about the condition of my own life before I could reach out and help somebody else.
Wow. So when you got started, did you just go cold turkey, however you were eating before, straight into carnivore? Did you have a transition that you went through?
Well, I did. So in October of 2021, I tried it for 30 days. I said, I this is something that I would try. I was never a big steak guy. The most meat that I had on the standard American diet was between two pieces of bread and a little bit of lettuce and tomato, called a cheeseburger. So I wasn't big on meat already. If we went to a steakhouse, I would have a cheeseburger plate with fries. So I didn't know that I could technically even do this meat diet. But I was going to give it 30 days because it was so drastically different from everything else that I had heard or understood nutrition to be. And so for the month of October of 2021, that's what I tried. And it was so drastically different that even the dirty version of it that I did with the sauces that still contain the sugars and different things, that I felt so different that I knew that it was a change that I needed to make in my life. But I also knew that I had Thanksgiving and Halloween and Christmas and through that whole time period and New Year's and then my birthday and all those things right during that time period, I was like, there's no way that I'm going to stick to this. So I'm going to kick that can down the road. And that's what led up to the April date. I kicked that can down the road, and it was the whole, well, I'll start tomorrow. I'll get started on this tomorrow. I'll get going tomorrow. And as you all can probably all ascertain that tomorrow never comes. If you're going to make changes in your life, you got to take advantage of today.
Awesome. And so I guess, I mean, the weight loss is probably like a big goal for you initially. Were you surprised at how your depression started to lift, and what was that like?
It like I said, it's the absolute best thing that's happened so far. I was extremely surprised because I had no earthly idea that my depression would be affected by it. Certainly you would think that with all the things that eating the proper human diet has done for me in my life, you would think that it would be much more common knowledge and much more it would be emphasized much more by our healthcare system. These are the brightest, most capable human beings in our society who are dedicated to helping us get our health right. They get paid. That's their sole function in their job. Yet I had never heard anything like this from them. It's always been, well, you can take this pill, or you can have this surgery, or you can apply to this program, or whatever the case may be. It was never, hey, listen, if you cut out the toxic foods that you're putting into your system, then what's left will be the proper human diet, and it will give your body the optimal nutrition to function properly as it should. And so whenever I finally started grasping the fact that my relationship with food needed to be fixed and implementing those practical steps into my life, it made a drastic difference.
Wow. All right. I'm just going to do a couple of shout outs here, Shawn, because we've got a few people showing up. Anita from Ketogenic Woman, thank you for watching.
Hey, Anita.
I was just saying to Shawn before, you're a very busy person. I believe you've still got a full-time job and running your channel, and you made time to show up today, so I really appreciate that. Frankie Carbone, music official from New York City, thanks for tuning in. Jeff Skolmeyer, do I get that pronunciation right, from Dubuque in Iowa. Don't even know if I got that right as well, but hopefully I did. Karen Harrington, thank you for tuning in. Hello, back. Limitless Lindy, I believe you work with the blind carnivores as well. Amy and Shane, so appreciate your work there, and also for tuning in today. Or maybe that's Mama Bear Lynette. Actually, I mixed them up. There you go. It's Mama Bear Lynette, I'm pretty sure. Carnivore Nation from Ipswich, Suffolk in the UK. It's pretty late there for you, I think. It's like 11-ish at night, I believe. Yes, okay. I was right about Mama Bear Lynette. Sorry about that, Limitless Lindy. Got you mixed up there. Primal Mike. Yeah, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Marvin Maley from East Texas. That must be one of your guests, I think, Shawn.
Awesome. Good to see you guys.
Rich LeBoy. Thank you, Mike Shaw TV. Good afternoon to you as well. And this is one of yours as well, I think, Shawn, the champion within. Question for you, Shawn. Now that you're at your near or your goal weight, what will be your why going forward? Love you, brother. Thank you for motivating me and so many others. Good to hear.
Absolutely. So the why for me doesn't change, man. I want to be the most optimal husband. I want to be the most optimal father. I want to live a life that is not just defined by one success. You know, anybody can find success given enough failures in a consistent strategy, you know. So I don't want to be 10 years down the road and still talking about this one success that I accomplished years ago. I want to have multiple successes, and I know that the best way to have multiple successes is to experience those successes and then make success a habit. And so that's what my focus is. My focus is on fixing the heart of the issues, not just putting a band-aid on the problem. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to do. And I feel like a lot of the things that I'm trying to do now are not just success for me, because I have, like you said, gotten to past my goal weight that I actually wanted to get for myself. So in turn, I want to try to help other people to find that success too. And I feel like that's something that is an unending issue. I wish it was. I wish that there wasn't a call in our society for people who were depressed as I was a year ago, or going through some of the same issues that I was having a year ago. But there are so many hurting people out there. There are so many people who have lost hope and lost the will to continue on, that I feel like that being able to speak to those situations and bring hope to those people who are hopeless in the condition that I was in just a little over a year ago, that's something that I've basically tried to dedicate my life to, and something that I feel like is of the utmost importance, because you never know whose life you're going to impact. You never know who is on the verge of giving up and it being the end for them. And they have lives, they have families, they have wives, they have kids who depend on them, who are suffering just as much as they are in the situation that they're in. And their life is going to be radically transformed if they can get their health optimized and their health just like I have. And I don't think that there's something just special about me or special about the journey that I've been on, other than that it's mine. And I'm very thankful for it. But I feel like that all those people can experience the same success to get them to a place of optimal nutrition and health, to where they can thrive and they can make the difference in their lives and their families, just like I've done. So that's the judgment for success that I feel like going forward will be able to be, I can look at to see if I'm being successful or not.
Awesome. Now, have you had any people in your immediate family or sort of close friends circle that have been following your journey and have gotten curious about the carnivore way of eating, what you've been doing, and started to follow that themselves?
There have been a lot who have asked about it. You know, I really don't proselytize, if you will. You know, those with the carnivore way of eating, I just feel like that I can live that example. My wife has been eating carnivore since May 1st of this year. My brother and my sister-in-law eat this way. My mom has transitioned over to eat this way, which I never thought would happen, but she does. And they have all had their own success benefits that they could attest to, whether it be a little bit of weight loss. None of them were relatively overweight, but have certain issues. But they mostly had just seen the major transformation in my life and the things that have happened to me, and said, listen, if it can do all that for you, I am just curious to see what it can do for me. And that is the question that I love to pose to everybody else, whether it be your or my listeners audience today. Just seeing the things that it's done for me or for anybody else, what could it do for you today? You know, what's holding you back from experiencing the benefits of eating the proper human diet?
And so what do you think it is that we're talking about what we see from health officials, from, you know, government organisations that are concerned or supposed to be concerned with our health? Why do you suppose it is that there isn't really a lot of talk about the things that that we do eating this way, and particularly when it comes to just removing, really processed foods. Why is that not talked about more, do you think?
Well, I think a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of effort has been spent on not just big food and big industry investing in figuring out how to keep the masses subject to their ideals, but it's in conjunction with the regulation from our healthcare officials, if you will, regulating. If you stay unhealthy and you stay weak, then you're easily controllable. I really do believe that 100%. Now, whether everybody has evil intentions, that's another debate for another day. I won't get into that. But I will say that I feel like there's been a lot of money and a lot of effort spent over a long period of time to figure out how those companies can make the biggest overhead and profit for their investment, because that's business. And I mean, that's just what it is. And, as far as on the other side of that, the government, whether it be our government, your government, or whoever's government, if you will, their one desire is to keep power and control. And they're going to do whatever it takes, no matter what side of the aisle they're on, to keep that control. And if that means stomping out the common everyday man to do so, then so be it, I feel like we have to go outside of that. If we're waiting on somebody else to come and save us, it's just not going to happen. If you're waiting on the study to prove exactly that this is all what it says it is, that's not going to happen either. Too much money and too much effort has been put in over the last 50 to 100 years probably into finding out a way to increase profit margins on one side and keep people subjective to their will on the other side. And so I think that's the major reason why we don't hear it. Whenever people start getting healthy and optimizing their health, they're not as easily controllable, they're not as easily manipulated, and they're in a position where they can stand up and speak truth to situations that normally they would be foregoing or whatever.
And so just take us back a little bit. You were taking a number of medications, some of which I have no idea because I've never actually taken any medication myself. When your primary care physician, when you let him know about or her know about the change in your diet, what was their initial reaction?
My doctor, Dr. Edwards, man, he's a great guy. He actually recommended eating a low carb way of eating. Not necessarily keto or carnivore or anything like that, but I didn't even share it with him until after I had lost quite a bit of weight. I lost over 100 pounds before I had my first checkup with him. And whenever me and my doctor had this weird relate, I don't know if it's because I work in healthcare and I work with doctors on a regular basis, so I don't necessarily relate to them or view them as a lot of people do. I understand that my doctor works for me and my health is my responsibility and I'm trying to get to a certain place. So whenever I would approach my doctor, it would be more like, hey, doc, this is what I want to do. I value his input. I would ask him questions if I didn't know anything and get his input, but I wasn't leaning on him to get me to where I wanted to be. I was employing him in my goals for where I wanted to be at a certain level. And so whenever I would lay the information, hey, I showed up 6 months after I started carnivore and was like, hey, I lost 100 pounds. Let's get some blood work done. And he saw that. He was intrigued. And then after a year, I had lost over 250, right around 250 pounds. And he was like, I actually had to get a picture of his face whenever I went to that visit because he was like, his initial words were, I've never seen anything like this before in my life.
Wow. Never before in his life. Isn't that amazing? And how many thousands of patients must he have seen, during his career?
it had to be a lot. And I keep trying to peck away at him. I'm like, well, what do you think about the carnivore diet now? Do you see how drastic my labs have been? Have you seen how drastic the weight loss has been? Can you not, does it not compel you to look even more into it? I'm trying to urge him a little, you know? And I'm not sure that he's convinced, but he definitely made the comment to me that he's not convinced that it will do the same thing for everybody, which I'm not either. I know I'm not senile, or I'm not naive enough to think that everybody will experience a 270-pound, weight loss in a year or whatever. However, it is possible, and that's the thing that I try to tap into, is that it just shows me that it is amazing what is possible when you give your body the proper human nutrition and cut out the toxic junk that seems to wreak havoc on our bodies.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Even doctors are subject to the same sort of bias that the general population is, which is like often people say to me, "Well, where's the proof that this is actually gonna work for you?" And it's like, well, where's the proof that anything actually works? Because at the end of the day, there have to be epidemiological studies, and that requires people actually reporting what they're eating, and it's never going to be accurate. Like at best, it's going to be like, somewhat of a sort of an idea of what people were eating. And they might say, well, they've been eating, a meat diet, but they're eating a lot of meat in their diet, but then what else have they been eating as well? And I think there's so much scope for cherry picking different kind of studies to say, okay, well, this works or that doesn't work. But I think what's great about channels like Dr. Berry and even yours is there's this massive amount of anecdotal feedback over a number of years now, and it's pretty hard. It's hard to ignore that. You can't just go, okay, well, it wasn't just one person. It's going to be hundreds or even thousands of people that they've been successful with improving their health this way.
Oh yeah, I think it's absolutely critical, and that's one of the things that with my channel, and I respect that with you and your channel, and all the others that are coming out lately. I think that it is critical that if you have experienced benefits and that transformation of health with the carnivore way of eating, to say something, because personal experience from everyday people is going to speak volumes in the debate or the discussion when it comes to this way of eating. Because as I mentioned before, if you can't trust the research and the studies that are being put out by these organizations who are benefiting from us staying sick and unhealthy, then what is the fight? How do you combat those things? It would be easy for us all to just say, well, it's a bigger fight than I want to take on. We can't win, and just tuck our tail and just keep our mouth shut and go on about our way. But if you do truly want to make a difference, I feel like the only thing you have to do is each and every one of you say something. Whether that be in the comments on Stay Strong Live Long channel or Intentional Carnivore or wherever that is, even on your own channel, if you've experienced the benefits, if your life has been transformed by the proper human diet, more people that say something, the more impact that has. And people are going to start listening to the testimonies, and that's going to put the other side of the argument into play at that point. And I feel like I'm just crazy enough to believe that we can drastically impact the trajectory that healthcare is headed in by all of us who have experienced the benefits of this way of eating, just simply saying something.
Yeah, 100%. All right, I'm just going to do a couple more shout-outs because the queue's getting pretty long there. Mava, hey from Ohio, thanks for tuning in. Oh, let me listen to you. I didn't know you're in Melbourne. Yeah, we are virtually neighbours, aren't we? We're only like a couple of hours flight away from each other. Tracy Kinsel, thank you for tuning in.
Hey, Tracy.
Bonnie's also helping out with the moderation today. Thanks for coming on. DC, learning to live. Good to hear from you, buddy. Thanks for being here today. Another fellow Aussie. Limitless Lindy's got a question for what are your plans for Christmas festivities? Staying carnivore strong, will you allow yourself to go a little more keto for the socials occasions? I'll let you answer that one, Shawn, and then I'll answer that as well.
I mean, honestly, I don't ever plan on changing the way I eat. Like, I mean, no matter the situation, no matter the circumstances, I feel like the very first step in transforming our lives is transforming our mind, because if you get your mind right, the body is the easy part to fix. You know, the body losing weight was basically a secondary cause of me getting my mind right and fixing my relationship with what food is. Food is fuel. And like that's what like I have trained myself. I have tried to ingrain that habit and understanding into my mind that whenever I consume something, what is the purpose of that? And so I consume food simply to give my body fuel to function properly. So that there's never a time whenever I think, well, I'm going to, let myself go with, keto or ketovore. Whatever the case is, it is, whether I have something that's not technically carnivore or not, I don't ever plan or not plan to have that. I understand what food is and what its use is. And so I just don't think of it that way anymore. Honestly, I mean, is the only answer that I can come up with. Will I have something that's not carnivore at Christmas time? I don't know. I don't plan on it. It's not really food, but maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't really think of it in that way anymore. Is the best way I can answer that, I guess.
Yeah, I think for myself, you just got to know your own mind and how whether you can. There's lots of different factors, especially when it comes around to Christmas and holidays, that sort of thing, because that's generally going to be social occasions with close family. So in my case, I've got two, like in my immediate family, my brother-in-law is an excellent chef. And so is my mother-in-law as well. And so is my wife. Like, they're all excellent chefs. So they often making food, which is absolutely amazing. There's so much love that's gone into it. And sometimes I'll try those things because it's out of respect for those people and the effort that they've put into it. But I certainly don't go crazy. And I know that if I have a whole lot of something, it's just not going to make me feel very well. So I've kind of found this balance where, okay, well, if my brother-in-law's made an amazing, like he'll make a especially heavy meat pizza or something in his own pizza oven, well, you know what? I'm on a family occasion, I may actually try a slice, but that will be it. And I feel like, okay, well, I've tried it. It's not going to have that big of an impact, but I also know it's not going to make me go completely off the wagon. But for some people, even just one, like even a small deviation is enough to sort of start them into a pattern that they may not want. So I think you've got to know your own mind as well. And there are just some things that, especially if they're really sugary or like processed carbohydrates, I just like, it doesn't matter what the occasion is, I just won't have it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that I heard Dr. Berry talk about whenever I first found this way of eating was Dr. Berry talks about if I cheat on carnivore, I do it with ketovore. And if I cheat on ketovore, I do it with keto. And that kind of stuck with me. So whenever I first started out, for the first 5 months, I literally didn't have anything that was not carnivore. I was super strict. It was only meat, no anything. And then after about 5 months, I said, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to incorporate. I don't know if I can keep doing this. I don't know if I can keep going with this, whatever. So one time a month, I'm going to allow myself to have what we call Texas fajitas here, in the South. And basically what that is, it's Mexican food. It has like salsa and it has a little bit of onions and peppers and things, but it's still something that's basically heavy in beef and chicken and shrimp. And it has a little bit of things, like I said, onions and peppers that are not carnivore. But I would allow myself one time a month that I would be able to have this. But there were conditions in that whenever I had this, it's you go get the food, you bring it home, whatever the case is. There's not leftovers, so you don't get to drag that into 3 or 4 days worth of binge eating. You don't get to, draw this out. You go have this meal of this food, and then when it's done, and you're back to your plan. And there was never a time whenever I had that it didn't stall my weight loss or make me feel a certain kind of way. However, I feel like that in a way kind of gave me a break, but it also reminded me every single time that I did it why I eat the way that I eat. So I don't know if you can throw that into some kind of psychology or whatever, but it definitely worked, and I still do that. If I want to have Texas fajitas, now when I say that, that's the only thing that I've had, like as far as meals are concerned. But I am also one of those people who have that, and then I'm right back to my plan. There's a lot of people, I'm not suggesting that everybody try that. There's a lot of people that would have that meal and be off to the races with the standard American diet again. And you have to find what is sustainable that can get you from what is less optimal to what is more optimal. What is sustainable and what can continue to keep you making better choices and better steps in the right direction. And I think that's going to be the most helpful for most people.
Yeah, that's a great answer. We've got another question here from Mama Bear Lynette. This must be for you, Shawn. Now that you're becoming so well known in the carnivore community and have such an inspirational story, I'm wondering if anyone has reached out to you to be a speaker at a conference.
There's been a couple of people that have talked to me. I don't have anything on my schedule as far as that's concerned. I'm honored that there's more than 2 or 3 people that show up every week. I'm still mesmerized whenever I log in to do a live that there's people that show up to hear it. I'm just a normal guy. I have a wife and children. I have a day job that I work 6 o'clock in the morning to 2:30 in the evening for the hospital here in South Carolina. So it's all still. Listen, a year and a half ago, I was laying on the couch every day, not caring if I woke up the next morning, not caring about seeing tomorrow. So every day above ground, every day that I can do what I'm doing is a blessing to me. And it's amazing. I would love to speak at conferences. I would love to take every opportunity that I can to be able to share the hope that I found with whoever. But it's still new, and it's still amazing to me and humbling, honestly, to be able to impact so many people, because it's something that I needed for a long time. I needed somebody to speak into my life, and being able to do that to other people is honoring and is humbling to me. And I feel like it's something that will definitely outlive me, and I hope it does. Because, not just for me and my sake and something that I can add to my resume, but something that, like, being able to speak to people and them change their lives and be able to be a husband and a father to their children and their wife and their families again, man, that's so much bigger than me that I can't even take credit for it.
Yeah, I think personally, just hearing you speak now, is if it's not something like KetoCon or one of those, it's going to be like some sort of more of a personal development or an inspirational kind of setting. I think that's where I can see you actually making a pretty big impact as well.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Hi to Kel. Steve Pilling, been following Shawn for a while, would not have made it without his encouragement. That's awesome. He's been a mentor for sure. Asking about the multiple rings on your hand. Tell us about that, Shawn.
Oh yeah, so it's funny. I feel like a weirdo sometimes, honestly. But so this ring that I wear on this finger here is basically the ring that whenever I started this way of eating was here, and if you watch it, it falls off. So basically, I just moved it over to here, and same thing with these. It's basically just the size. As a ring got too big to fit on one finger, I just moved it over, and so now it's just a reminder that I can look down at all the time throughout the day. I don't always wear them. It's not like I'm trying to make a statement kind of thing. It's just I didn't know what to do with them, and they were too big for this finger, so I just moved them over and kept going. I definitely continue to wear my ring because that's something I honor my commitment to my wife. I have for almost 22 years. I truly love to see people who honor their commitments and stuff like that. It's something to me that's been of the utmost importance, and I always try to honor that. So that's just something that I just move around.
That's great. It's like a little positive reminder of where you were and where you've gotten to. Do you ever look back at photos of yourself, back before you started?
Oh, I do, man. Constantly. I've got the video. I've only made about 4 shorts on YouTube since I started doing YouTube. One of them was a video that I made for the private group that I was part of a little over a year ago, whenever I very first started walking and started getting into that transition period in carnivore. And I was still over 400 pounds. And had I known that all the people would see that video at that time, I probably wouldn't have posted it. But I was getting ready to get a new phone, and I didn't want to lose that video. And so I uploaded it onto my YouTube channel that I didn't even have at the time. It was, I think, about last September or something. And it was literally of me just walking for the first time in 3 years outside. And, that video alone motivates me so much. It's about 40 or 50 seconds on the channel, and it just shows me from whenever I basically first started, just saying, hey, keep pushing forward, stay strong. Motivation follows action every single time. And I look at that all the time, and just, I don't even recognize how far I've come since that point, because I don't understand how I could allow myself to get that way. But it is definitely motivating to see how far I've come, and just motivates me also to see how far, what's it going to look like next year, things that we learn to live in such a way that we think that it's normal to live the way we're living when we were never intended to live that way. And being able to see the perspective from outside of our situation is huge. And I think that's what it allows me to do.
Awesome. We've got another one here from Janie DeHart. Thanks for tuning in, Janie. When I first heard about the carnivore way of eating, I was watching an interview with someone that had lost 143 pounds by the keto twins. Shawn, was that you?
I'm not sure by the keto. I don't think I've talked with the keto twins yet.
I've not heard of those ones either. We've got Herbie Lena. Hello from Minnesota. Thanks for tuning in. Question here from Lady Oliver 12. I have a friend who is almost 500 pounds. Wow. He won't really listen to me. Is there a way to contact you, Shawn, to figure out how to approach him and maybe get some help with doing it?
Yeah, I mean, sure. You can send me an email at intentionalcarnivore@gmail.com. I'm definitely, I spend a lot of time trying to converse with people. I'd be happy to, speak with you. Honestly, as far as your friend is concerned, though, until they get the mindset that they're sick and tired of being where they are, it's sad to say, I really don't think that a lot of people are going to make that change. I know that I had pressure on me a lot for probably the entire 3 years that I was depressed and living the way that I was living, to just snap out of it, to just change a little bit, or to just eat less and move more, and all the things that you would think. But until that person understands that they do not have to be captivated in the place that they are, and that they can move out from where they are, I don't know that it's going to do any good. But I'm more than happy to speak with you and talk with you. And hopefully they will. Hopefully they will. I'll be glad to talk with you.
Yeah, that's a tough one, that one. It's because we all see, especially when you experience big health improvements, and I reckon this is really a big thing for you, considering how much weight you've lost as well. But people that we're close to, we know, we see their health, like perhaps even deteriorating. They have all kinds of issues going on. They might be taking a lot of different medication. They might be morbidly obese. And, I always say to people, sometimes you just can't be the foghorn. You've just got to be the lighthouse. You've just got to show people the way, and they won't really hear anything that you've got to say. And they may actually go the other way and say, no, I'm fine with what I'm doing. At some point, they may reach a point where they go, okay, well, I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm going to do something about it. And when people reach that point, it's different for everybody. And sometimes it's just something you've just got to be in their corner, but you can't really tell them what to do. It can often work in reverse. But I think you've got to at least, sometimes you need to at least try, especially if it's kind of a life and death situation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Being that example is critical. You know, that's my goal now, whether it be with my diet or my faith or anything else. I try my best to do that. You know, I don't try to force my opinions on anybody. I have my opinions. I have where I stand, but I feel like if I can just be that example, and my example is of that which I believe and I have my convictions. And if it's as good as I say that it is, then other people will see that and they'll want it for themselves, right? You know, eventually, the weird saying that I always say is don't kill them with kindness, torture them with success. When you start living that success in front of people all the time, eventually people are going to want what you got. They're going to be asking you about it. They're going to be trying to figure it out, because if they know what I know is, how do you bring about the success? You surround your people with other people who have found that success that you want to get. They had attained that level that you want to get to. And so that's what I try to do. And I feel like other people will start realizing that, and they're going to approach you about the situation before too long.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny where the interest can come from too. I had a close friend of mine recently actually contacted me out of the blue, and he said he just started eating the carnivore way, so he wanted to get some advice from me. I didn't even know that he was even interested. But another close friend of mine had said, you know, Christian, he was asking me about what happened with Rod. Has he started taking steroids or something, or what's been going on with him?
Right.
And you know, I had no idea. And I didn't know that he's a really lean, healthy looking guy, but you know, he's having a lot of trouble with sleep. His energy was like really up and down, really heavily dependent on carbohydrates. You know, needed to be able to use his body physically, and he was just kind of sick and tired of not being in optimal health, which is pretty much like where I was. But it was really fun to actually find out all these things which I hadn't known was going on, because people tend to kind of keep those things to themselves a lot, even close friends. You know, if they appear, especially those who appear to be healthy, I think they might have hidden health issues that you would just not have any idea, but they're living this sort of silent kind of misery a lot of the time, putting up a front that looks okay, but really on the inside they're not doing so well. So that was really cool to have somebody, you know, say, okay, well, how do I get started? What should I do? And what should I? That was really funny to think that people actually, somebody noticed, somebody realized that there was something going on, and they wanted to know how I'd done it.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, like, that I try to emphasize a lot too, is you never know who you're going to impact. It may be that you are the only one that can get through to the person that I love to impact their life. Maybe I could say something that wouldn't exactly get through to them the way that someone else can. So whenever you start looking at it from that perspective, you never know who you're going to impact, whose life you're going to change. And so you have to be you have to believe in what you're doing. You have to live in those convictions, and just being honest with yourself, man. You know, I had to get honest with myself. You know, I used to be the guy that made excuses for every single thing you could imagine. It was everybody else's fault why I couldn't honor the commitments that I was making. And eventually everything comes home, and you have to have some real conversations with yourself. And that's one of the best things that I feel like I ever did, was have that conversation and say, listen, stop saying you're going to do something if you're not going to do it. Start when you say you're going to do something, do it. Let your yes be yes and your no be no, and be honest with yourself, and quit lying to yourself and living a life that portrays something that you're not. You know, be honest with yourself, be real, and stand on your convictions and move forward. You know, and that's one of the best things I think ever happened to me.
Yeah, this is awesome. I'm loving this. All right, Mike Shaw TV. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. Metabolic health first, absolutely. The rest will follow. Keto Voroganian, thank you for tuning in. The only reason I started a YouTube channel was to tell my story, the journey and benefits of a proper human diet. I might not lean on the far end of the PhD spectrum, but my experience matters too. Absolutely, 100%. Kel, wow, Shawn, you were born to promote this. Keep up the good fight. He is, isn't he? Absolutely.
Thank you.
Carnivore Vlog, I like that channel name. Good evening to you as well. Keto Simple, need to know what is more sustainable for you as a person, total abstinence or occasional treats. Yeah, speaking to what you were talking about there, Shawn. For some people, abstinence is the only way. For others, you can afford to slide a little bit, but it's only experience is going to tell you that whether you can do that or not. And I think for a lot of people, they've really got to start off quite strict. There's those addictions to sweet foods and other things. It takes a long time for those to disappear, not just physically but mentally as well, and to actually have some more control over it and to know yourself as well. That takes time.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I found, that like whenever I eat off plan that one time a month that I scheduled in after 5 months, it was never the physical thing that got me as far as after I would have those meals. It was always something mental. I would start even now, if I eat something that's not carnivore, my mind will have me craving things that I never liked before I was even carnivore. I craved hummus for one time, and like I mean, of all the things to crave, hummus was okay, but it wasn't that great even before I went carnivore. So there is an effect from that stuff, just you have to understand what it is.
Yeah. Herbulina, yeah, I think you meant anecdotal. Testimony is science, observable, and testable. Yeah, I mean, it's science in and of itself. It's just that Big Pharma doesn't want to test it. Absolutely. DC, thanks for tuning in, buddy. And thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, sub and share, people. Absolutely, if that's what you feel like you are drawn to do. Let's see what else we've got here from Keto Simple. One of the biggest challenges we face is being honest with ourselves, 100%. Being able to look inward on oneself and find out what is truly sustainable and help us move forward. Yeah. It's not just changing your diet. There's a lot of mental work that's got to go on as well. And perhaps that is the harder work than anything, I think, than just switching your diet.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Like I stress that, and I believe it. If you can get your mind right, the mental part is definitely the hard part. If you can if you don't do the mind work, then everything else in the journey is going to suffer. I feel like, whether it be short term or long term. But if you do the mind work and you get your mind right, the body will follow. The body is the easy part to fix, because how much of the body can you control? The body's going to do what it's going to do. It functions how it functions, period. But the mind, man, it can throw tricks from way out of left field if you're not careful. And if you're not prepared for that, and you haven't addressed the issues that you have with your mind, and getting your mind, your mental toughness and your mental determination and consistency and plans together, then you're gonna fight yourself for the whole journey, I feel like.
Yeah, I think there's and it doesn't need to be a massive big leap. You can just eat the elephant one bite at a time. And if you can make a small little incremental change each day, it really adds up to a lot over a period of time. And you can make a few steps forward and make one backwards. But as long as you keep making more steps forwards than you make backwards, you will actually get wherever it is you want to go. So we've got a question here from Herbulina. What does your medical co-workers think of your weight loss, and what about their weight loss?
So now I work from home. I'm actually a remote worker. I work for the hospital. I write trauma reports. I basically am a trauma registrar analyst. And so basically what I do is collect data points and write reports from the comfort of my very own home. So, as far as having a whole lot of coworkers, I don't have a lot of those. But I have got to share this way of eating and what has transformed my life with a lot of people that I used to work with. And some of them have tried it. I haven't heard any of the, big success stories or how far a lot of them have gone. I try to keep up with some of them. But even some of the, my supervisors and stuff, I've talked with them and been able to share what has genuinely helped me in life now. So I guess only time will tell. I haven't seen a lot of the results from them yet, as far as that's concerned.
Okay.
But my neighbors actually, have tried this, because they see me out doing stuff that they never saw me doing before, and there's a lot of people that has been eyewitness to the journey, and so it's mind-boggling to them, I guess, as much as it is to me. Even I walk in front of the mirror even today sometimes, and I'm like, who in the world is looking back at me? Because it happens so relatively fast. You lose 270 pounds in a little over a year, and you walk past the mirror, and it's kind of surreal. You've always been overweight, and then all of a sudden you're not overweight anymore, and you wonder what's going on. It's kind of a mind thing with you.
Yeah, I can't even begin to imagine. Like, I could barely deadlift 270 pounds, right? And you were carrying that around. I just can't imagine how much it would seem like it would be a crushing, weight to have to haul around all the time.
It was insane, man. I can't describe it. I honestly I can't, because I was so big, man. Like I couldn't breathe right. I mean, I would literally have a hard time breathing. Like, just something as simple as standing up from your living room and walking to your bathroom to go to the bathroom, and I'm out of breath just going to the bathroom. Like, it's insane to think about. And most people that aren't that size or never experienced that don't understand, like, you know, something that's so simple and that others may find very easy, somebody that's that size and let themselves get into those conditions by the choices they've made, experience a whole entirely different life and set of issues than what you may realize.
All right, we've got a hi from Susan E. We've got a question here. Actually, it's more of a thank you. Shawn, your encouraging spirit attitude has really helped light a fire in me. Every spare moment, I try to find a new carnivore to encourage. Great, carnivore community is the best. Thank you for all you do. Completely agree. The community has been something. I think that's one of the things I've enjoyed the most out of starting a YouTube channel. I don't know about you, Shawn, is there's the community of really smart and like-minded, enthusiastic people that are very supportive as well, not just about carnivore, but just about starting something new and encouragement. I think that's been really awesome.
Oh, absolutely. Community's huge. I get so much encouragement, so much motivation, and so much inspiration from the community, man. It's amazing how much they've embraced it. They from the encouragement to the donations to the just the meetups to the whatever the case is, man. The community's been awesome. I love meeting new people, hearing new stories, hearing the testimonies, and you can't say enough good stuff about the community we're involved with. It's a blessing.
Barmer J, you're late, but better late than never. Thanks for tuning in. Susan Hampton, thank you for tuning in as well. It's nice to see you here. I know you've been away on holidays for a while. And hello from Malta. Thanks for tuning in. Our regular there. Yes, I'm glad you understand, Shawn.
How else can you reach around the world, right? I mean, like,
yeah.
we're reaching the entire world. Like, you're in Australia. I'm in the southeast United States. Like, I mean, we're reaching all over the world with this message. I mean, it's quite amazing.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, it never ceases to I've been working in technology for 40 years, and I still sit back and go, oh, this is just amazing. Especially if you interview people in really different time zones. Like, it's Monday for you, it's Tuesday for me. It's like, what?
Right?
How is that possible? Yeah, Maltese Carnivore. Yes, I remember. I know you handle Maltese Carnivore. I know you log in on a different one here. All right. Well, this has been great. I think I'm actually pretty up with the comments, so I think we'll wrap this up pretty soon. Shawn, do you have any final message that you want to leave people with before we finish?
I just want to encourage people. I mean, there's a lot of people that that may tune into this that have lost hope, lost direction, lost the will to continue on. And I just want to say, if you have never experienced carnivore or been on this way of eating, give it a try for about 60 to 90 days, see what it'll do for you, and then come back and let us know. If it sucks and it doesn't work for you, come back and let us know. But go all out in it. It could be the thing that absolutely transforms and changes your life. It may give you, it's not going to pay your taxes. It's not going to sort out all your relationship problems. It's not going to correct every circumstance that you've ever had in your life, but it could get you to the place to where it gives you the potential to live a life full of greatness and do great things from here on. So I just want to encourage everybody and just thank everybody for listening and checking in, and let us know in the comments what you think. Like and subscribe to the channel, share share this video with someone you think it might help. And that's about it. I appreciate you having me on, brother.
All right, Shawn. Well, you've been an absolute treat to have you on the channel. It's been way more fun than I could have imagined. I appreciate you being here with us today. And if you are watching this on the replay, just drop comments. Don't feel like you've missed out by not being part of the live stream. You can still drop the comments in, and that's useful for people as well. And we'll catch you guys all next week. Thanks again, Shawn.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, brother.